I'm so excited today to finally meet in person Andrew Peterson, who has written the Wingfeather Saga. Andrew, when I've been describing to people the Wingfeather Saga books, I'm saying it's like we're kind of coming to a party that's already got going and is already going. But I mean, for many of the people who are looking at this video today, they may not know what's gone before. So
Right.
How would you kind of describe the journey so far for the Wingfeather Saga?
Sure, yeah. So so it started with me as a singer-songwriter. I think of that as my main job, although they're pretty well balanced now. But I remember going to a few of my friends in the band and saying, I really want to write an epic fantasy series, and they were all like, good luck with that, moving on. But then I had read the Narnia books to my kids, and it kind of reignited in me this love that I've had since I was a little kid for fantasy and for big stories. And so I talked to my wife and I said, that book I've always talked about writing, I think I'm going to really try it this time. So that led to me spending about 5 years building the world, working on book one, and then finally publishing it in 2008. And it was with Waterbrooke Press in the States. And they published book one and book two, and the books did pretty well, but that was like, they did some restructuring or whatever, and I found myself kind of without a publisher for books 3 and 4. Like, it was always meant to be a 4-book series. But then I was like, what do I do with this now that you guys aren't publishing it? But the books were selling well enough to where they didn't sell me the rights back to books 1 and 2. So I was in this odd situation. So I'm a part of a ministry that has a publishing company that we just decided to keep going and publish them through the Rabbit Room. And I think a lot of readers do this. I know I do this. They wait to see if the ending is good before they'll invest in the whole series. And so I think a lot of people were holding out until I finished the story, and then around the time I did book 4, the sales just kind of started picking up pretty rapidly, and it was just so exciting to see. And then, to my great joy, Penguin Random House came to me and said, hey, we would like to acquire books 3 and 4 from you and reissue the books in a big brand new hardcover, in the States anyway, with new illustrations. And so it was just such a joy, because a lot of authors, you publish your book series and then it has its life and then you move on to your next series. And this one, 10 years after I wrote it, it was this new rush of excitement and energy, and I've just been enjoying every minute of it.
So, as briefly as one can with an epic fantasy series,
Yeah.
I mean, how would you introduce it to somebody who's not come across Wingfeather before?
Sure. It's hard for me to know how to talk about it because I feel like I'm standing too close to it. I usually tell people it's a combination of The Princess Bride and The Lord of the Rings, but I don't know if you guys know The Princess Bride over here. It's big in the States. But there's a little bit of whimsy and humor in it, but I also really wanted it to be a big story, and the stakes are high, and the characters, I didn't want them to feel cartoony. I wanted them to feel like real people. And so it focuses on 3 siblings, really on one family. And these 3 children are at the heart of the story. And in book 1, they are living in an occupied village, occupied by these creatures called the Fangs of Dang. And they just assume that this is their life and it will always be their life. And then one day they happen upon a secret that eventually leads them to realize that they are at the center of this giant mystery, that suddenly they're on the run from Nag the Nameless, who's the main bad guy, who at all costs wants to capture them. And so this family goes on this crazy journey of trying to survive, and eventually, well, I won't tell you what happens eventually, but that's kind of the groundwork. It's a world that is full of strange creatures, and the most dangerous thing in the forest is a toothy cow, a fanged cow. So that gives you a little hint, but yeah, that's the heart of the story. I wanted to tell a story where the family actually, where the kids and the parents it was a healthy picture of what a family could be. So many stories rely on, there are so many fantasy novels that are orphan stories, and there are good reasons for that. but I wanted to tell a story where the kids actually leaned on the parents, and the parents trusted the kids, and that they were all in the same team together, and that's how they operated best.
And I imagine you probably get asked this a lot from Christians, but is it a Christian book?
That is a good question. So I am a Christian, and I was trying hard when I was writing the story to not shoehorn into the story any kind of moralism. You know, I just wanted to tell the best story that I could, and to trust the Holy Spirit in me to do what He would through the telling of that story. And so there isn't an overt, you know, there's not like an Aslan character, although there is a maker with a capital M that the family prays to, that they have this, they take for granted that someone made the world and that someone is good, and that he is their protector. And so that's there, but it becomes less subtle as the stories go on. But one friend of mine described them as not overtly Christian but deeply Christian, and I like that phrasing, because in the States it means that the books, you know, at Barnes and Noble, they're sitting on the shelf right next to Philip Pullman and J.K. Rowling, and they're kind of in with all of them because there's not this, like, you know, heavy-handed Christian thing. But I think that if you're a believer and you're reading these stories, you can smell it almost. There's a fragrance in them, I hope.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, 2021 has been quite an exciting year for Wingfeather.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about,
Yeah.
not only have the books come out and come out in the UK in paperback as well, but what else has been going on?
So this is really fun, but I'll back up just a little bit and say that during 2020, when the world was locked down, that was when the new editions were releasing, and I thought, oh no, you know, all of the marketing, all of the push is being, you know, subsumed by this tidal wave of COVID. And so I found myself at home, unable to go on tour anymore, and I just started reading the Wingfeather Saga aloud for 30 minutes a night, and it was so gratifying. And I think that a lot of people discovered the series for the first time that way. They couldn't go to school, so every night these families would gather around, and just so many more people than I would have dreamed were following along with the story. And so then we were approached by Angel Studios, who are responsible for a show called The Chosen, and they said that they were looking for their next series, basically, and were interested in the Wingfeather Saga. And so, all that to say, we earlier this year we raised $5 million in 20 days through investments from fans of the books and readers to help us make season one of what will be a multi-season fantasy animated series that tells the whole story of the Wingfeather Saga. So we are just, I mean, yesterday I was working on scripts for episode 4. You know, so we have the team. We have a guy that used to work at Pixar, quit and came to work with us, and so we've built this wonderful animation team, and we're on the verge of really digging into season 1.
Wow,
yeah,
exciting stuff. So the books are available in the UK and Commonwealth in paperback. We've got the audio downloads also available here in the UK. Tell us, there is also a kind of whole world of Wingfeather that people can kind of find online, and there's a short film as well that will help kind of people discover it. But tell us more about
the short film was made a couple of years ago as a way to pitch the series, and so it's this really 15-minute long, really condensed kind of proof of concept, but it's also a good way to let people see what they're getting in, what they're in for with the show and with the series. And then there's a book called Wingfeather Tales that is a collection of short stories written by a lot of other authors that are all set in the Wingfeather world. And then later this fall, in the States at least, Pembroke's Creaturepedia is releasing, which is a kind of a compendium of the creatures in the world. My son actually illustrated that, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, that's kind of the tip of the iceberg.
Brilliant, brilliant. We are so excited, Andrew, to be partnering with you in the UK here, and we are really looking forward to the journey ahead as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.